It's not about what you say, but how you say it. How many times have you heard that? Whether it was a heated argument with a significant other, maybe you delivered feedback to someone and it didn't land. You see, as humans, we are designed to feel intentions before words. And so this is why two people can say the exact same thing, but then get completely different emotions out the person. And so while you're learning objection handling and memorizing word tracks and studying all these frameworks, but then wondering why these deals are still falling apart, it's not your script. It's not your discovery. Most times it's not even your offer, but it's how you sound when you say it, how you come across to the person. For example, I have told people that their lives are completely falling apart. Maybe they're failing as a husband, as a wife, maybe they're failing as a parent, maybe they're just failing in life in general. I've said very direct things to people like, your kids deserve a better version than the man who is showing up right now. But I still didn't get these people hating me. They still move forward. In fact, they thanked me at the end. Not just me, but a lot of the clients that I work with, I teach them to be able to say very direct, oftentimes even abrasive things, but they're able to get that person out of their own way. With close to 2,000 sales calls taken, close to $4 million in cash collected over the last couple of years, I can tell you right now that tonality is gonna be the difference between a prospect opening up or shutting down. And so today, we're gonna break down the exact tones that you are gonna need to master to close more deals, and more importantly, I'm going to show you why most closers get this completely wrong and what to do instead. So without further ado, let's jump straight in. So why tonality matters more than the words that you use is because most closers are obsessing over what to say, the word track, and the prospect is not hearing your words. They're feeling your intentions. They're feeling what's behind those words. And the way they do that is through your tone. This is why two closers could say the exact same thing and get completely different results because of how they deliver it. And if your tone is off, even the best script in the world is going to feel flat and robotic. Like if you think about a movie, for example, right? Think about a movie. We know that a movie is scripted. We know that everything that we're watching is like make-believe for the most part, to pretend. But we still are invested into the movie, right? We're still very drawn in, even though we know that the words are made up. Same exact thing on a sales call. The sound of belief is having so much certainty in what you're saying that even if someone doesn't accept or believe what you're saying, that it comes across like they might just be a little crazy because you were that convicted. And so the reason you keep getting these surface level answers from prospects is because you're using the wrong tone for the type of questions that you're asking. And so when you ask questions too fast, for example, without any variation in your tone, the prospect is just going to give you a knee-jerk reaction instead of a real answer. And if they're not opening up, it's because the delivery is not creating the emotional space for them to be able to do that. And so slowing down and shifting your tone signals to their brain that this is a real conversation, not just some fucking interrogation, right? Like, I cannot drive this home. They're buying into you before anything else. And with that said, on the thing about them buying into you, this is exactly why it's so important for you to mean the words that you're saying, because you are living them, right? It's important for you to be congruent and to ultimately handling the call from a point of, I have been exactly where you are and have felt what you were feeling, and I've been able to overcome it. I've been able to get to the other side of it. That's where conviction is going to come from, and that's where people are going to believe you. So following along here and keep paying attention to the tactical piece behind it on how to sound the right way to elicit the emotion that you want to elicit. Like, I have a lot of tactical stuff here, but it's important to know that that is where it's really going to come from, is, are you living and believing the things that you're saying to these prospects? Because they'll be able to feel if you're not. And so we're going to go through the 5 types of tonality that you have to master and you have to be able to use interchangeably. So number 1 is going to be the curious tone. And so this is the baseline for the majority of your call, especially in the first half, while you're gathering their context around their situation, you're gathering their problems. A curious tone signals to the prospect that you're genuinely interested in their situation. You're not just running through a fucking checklist. It sounds like you're truly discovering something about them and not just sitting there and interrogating them. Right? This is really important because this is how, if you can be able to get across the curious tone properly, people's guards aren't going to shoot up as you're asking deeper and deeper questions, right? If someone says, oh, I want to be able to spend more time with my family because I'm constantly working. How many hours are you working? Versus how many hours? You slow it down. You're more curious. You want them to bring you in ultimately, right? Or let's say they tell you the amount of hours. Oh, I'm working 60 hours. What does that take away from? Versus, okay, what does that take away from, right? Same exact words, but what you're able to elicit is different because it actually seems like you give a fuck, because you should give a fuck. A curious tone is going to interrupt that pattern, and they're going to want to share more and more with you. Think about the last person you were telling a story to. If they actually cared and they were curious and they were asking more questions, that made you more inclined to keep telling more and more, versus if you could tell that this person does not care and their mind is not here. This is an example. It's going to be like a minute clip of me using a curious tone with the prospect. Planning things ahead is difficult. Like, your friend is going to come down. I know obviously you said you're a free woman, right? Only supporting yourself. Yeah. Who else is affected by this though? By your relationship with work? Number 2 is the confused tone. This one can be powerful if used correctly, but if not used correctly, you could come off like pretty fucking autistic. And so when a prospect, let's say you're genuinely not understanding, right? Maybe a prospect is being very vague with you. Maybe their story is just not making any sense. You want to be able to use this confused tone for them to be able to invite you into their way of thinking. Let's say you saw a biz op and the person is painting themselves as everything is going well, love my job, I'm happy with the amount of money that I make, but yet they sat on a 2-hour webinar and then they booked this call and then they're sitting through the fucking call, right? There's obviously more behind it. And so to use the more confused tone, I like to go, I hate to be the confused guy here, but I don't fully get it, right? Because XYZ, starting an Amazon business, this is business that's gonna require time and commitment and effort. And it's also gonna require you taking away partially from the life that you already have right now in terms of time, in terms of money. If things are already going pretty well, I just don't understand why you change anything, unless I'm missing something, right? You're confused, right? You're slipping into the inferior so that they could be able to tell you more so that you can understand, so that you could see if what you're doing would help them. And again, intention is so important behind this. If they can feel, oh, this person genuinely doesn't understand, they can feel your intention is to understand and they're going to want to make you understand. It creates a gap that the prospect just feels like they have to fill, which is good for you. And this is more than just your tone, but also your facial expressions, right? Sometimes I'll look around the room and I'll be like, I don't think I'm fully following, man. Your face is conveying that you're confused. Your tone is conveying that you're confused. Your intentions are there to help them. They are going to open up more. Here's a quick 2-minute example of me using the confused tone with the prospect, and see how much more she begins to open up and let me in. And so if we really look at it, when you think of imposter syndrome, like, what's going on in your mind? Like, you don't belong here, or what's going on in your mind?
Yeah, like I feel like I'm not good enough. It kind of like worked out, like right place, right time, and like things
Wow.
worked out, and like I don't know. I just don't feel good.
Yeah. And does this show itself in how you actually do your job? Like, for example, like the documentation and whatnot?
What do you mean?
So when you say imposter syndrome, right, and you talk about second guessing a lot, like,
Oh
does
yeah,
it
I
show
can't
stuff
sign
in the
my
notes?
notes. I don't want to finalize my notes. Like,
Number 3 is gonna be the challenging tone. And this is one of my favorite, because this is honestly where the sale is gonna be made or broken, right? Is where you're able to challenge them. And if you're able to do it properly, so you don't trigger a guard to where they fucking hate you. So this is not for the beginning of the call. This is after you've earned the right to use it, after you gathered context and problems, after you have the trust and credibility. This is single-handedly what is going to create the urgency needed for them to move forward and to actually change their situation and change their life. And so with this tonality, you're using a lot of downward inflections. When you're curious, you're inflecting upwards. Okay, interesting. And when you say, right, when you're confused, you're a little more neutral, more up between upward inflecting and neutral. But when you're challenging, it's downward, right? You're speaking like this because it's a serious conversation and you're concerned that if you don't have this conversation, nothing's gonna change. This is how you create tension. See, we single-handedly are able to control every single thing that the prospect is feeling throughout the duration of the entire call. It's powerful and you need to be able to use it ethically. You can also use it wisely. So an example of this, let's say you're in the consequence phase and you're asking them, well, what happens if nothing changes? And then they say, oh, this is gonna happen, life sucks, yada, yada, yada. Are you willing to settle for that? No. Why not? Because the reality here is you have settled for that. For X, Y, Z years, you've known something needs to change. But like we discovered earlier, we've made these excuses as to why it hasn't. So what happens if you continue giving yourself those excuses? What's actually different this time, right? I'm holding space. Again, my facial expressions too. I'm not smiling. I'm very centered in the fucking camera and I'm having a real conversation with this person. So when objection handling time comes around and they have the same exact excuse or limitation that they presented earlier, they are not taken away or surprised by this this energy because they've seen this energy in me before. It's not this complete flip. And the more you slow it down, the more they're gonna slow it down in their thinking. But if you just ask, okay, what happens if nothing changes? Or they're gonna give you a knee-jerk reaction. Slow it down. Slow it down. And with this style of tonality especially, if there isn't congruency within yourself, this one is for sure not going to land. It's going to come off very fabricated and ultimately like a little condescending because you are challenging them to overcome something that you yourself have not overcome. You know that you need to invest into yourself to get the help to be placed on a better offer. You know you need to invest in yourself to get the training to be able to perform on a better offer. But yet, you keep talking yourself out of it. You keep watching videos like this looking for quick fixes. You spend all your time taking the free route and taking the easy route, but then you go on these calls and when you're asking them why they haven't taken action, you don't have the same weight behind your voice. Kind of like how I am right now. I am challenging you as the person who's watching this to get out of your own way, to be the kind of person who you expect your prospects to be, the kind of person who doesn't give themselves excuses to do the things that they know that they need to do. This is an example of me using this exact same tonality on a sales call with a real prospect, and you can see that the words are holding weight. And it's not just me regurgitating things I saw online. What about that mindset of I have to figure it out by myself? You think we'd have to let go of that?
Yes, that would need to be let go. Yes, yes.
Right.
Like um the idea of I should whatever. It's like I remember someone saying, it's like shoulding all over yourself. So like letting go of the should and letting go of the um I should be able to do this myself. What's wrong with me?
Yeah, seeing it as a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe the right question then is like, are you ready to make decisions through her lens? Because that's the most
Mhm.
important thing.
Yeah,
The lens
yeah,
of the woman who's overcome it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because we have to look at the other side of it. Like, what's the alternative, right? Maybe another year, another 2 years go by, and we continue telling ourselves this story of I have to sacrifice to give good care, or
Yep.
I have to figure it out on myself, or I shoulding all over yourself.
Right, right.
And then we don't overcome this, and another year or two go by. What are the consequences then?
Oh, yeah. I mean, not good.
Now, if you're watching this and you're realizing that maybe you aren't congruent, maybe you are telling these prospects to do things that you haven't done, and you are ready to finally walk the walk and to do the things that you're asking them to do, and to show up as the type of prospect that you want to have, hit the link in the description. Have a conversation with myself or my team. We're gonna work with you one-on-one. We're gonna help you get placed on a better offer. We're gonna help you actually be able to perform on that offer. And more importantly, you can look in the mirror and know that I am a congruent person. I'm asking this prospect to do the exact same things that I've done. Damien was on the fence of investing into himself for months, close to a year, and he could not break past 5 to 6 grand a month. And in his very first month of working together, he hit 8. And then his next month, he hit 15. Part of that was, yes, we did do a lot of work together, right? He learned a lot of the tactical piece. But an even bigger part of that, if you think about tripling your income in 3 months, it's a lot more than just the words he was using. But he can finally hold the prospects to the same standard that he was holding himself to. He no longer was the type of person who relies on free information. He no longer was the type of person who gives himself excuses. And so he could not accept that from his prospects. Let's keep going to number 4. Number 4 is the concerned tone. This is similar to the curious tone, but this is when you use, this is the curious tone on a little, taking a step further, right? When you're curious about their situation and then they tell you their situation and now you're concerned about it. And so this is conveying the fact that you are here to support them through this, whatever it is. And it doesn't even have to mean that their life is falling apart, right? You could be selling lead gen and they're paying fucking $1,000 a lead. And you're like, wait a minute, $1,000 a lead? Most closers either skip this tone or fake it entirely. And then it just sounds really, really cringy. And I'm telling you, prospects can sense the difference. Like if somebody tells you something very deep about them, maybe the fact that they are check to check, maybe the fact that they are struggling to crack marketing in their business, and as a result, maybe they're gonna have to downsize their team soon. Whatever they're giving you, you need to ultimately be a real human and actually care, right? The concerned tone is actually caring. I also use the concerned tone a lot right before I'm about to challenge someone. So I'd be like, okay, can I say something without potentially offending you, right? You were concerned, you want to be able to bring something to light. Can I make an observation without potentially offending you? Is that okay? Bring to light what is going on. And with your body language too. Like when I say something like that, I'm doing exactly what I'm doing with my hands, right? I say something without potentially offending you? Is that okay? I'm leaning in. This is an example right here of me doing this with another prospect, and pay close attention to my tone, but also my body language, my facial expression. Can I say something without potentially offending you?
Yes.
That's what's going to keep you stuck. Right?
That's what's going to keep me what?
Stuck.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what's going to keep you stuck. Right? It's not more templates and more efficiencies, it's the proactivity. Right? Because when we look at it, like so far, the lack of proactivity, what has that costed you so far?
Time with my family. Time to relax.
Right? Which is the most important thing.
Yes.
Right? And so maybe the better question is like, are we ready? Put us aside, right? But are we ready to, I guess, grab it by the horns and be more proactive in the things that we can solve internally rather than more external changes? Like, are you ready to come to terms with the internal piece?
Yeah, I would like to.
The fifth and final form of tonality is going to be the playful tone. This is a fun one. This tone is used to strategically lower the prospect's guard. At the beginning of a call, or just throughout the call, maybe there may be some tension building. So at the beginning of the call, for example, I'll start by asking them, like, if they're coming off a webinar, I'd be like, oh, it looks like you joined our webinar, right? It didn't put you to sleep, did it? And getting a little bit of a smile out of them. This isn't in a super cheesy, like trying to like win them over in a super fake way, right? You're not trying to be this like fake comedian. You're humanizing the conversation. Or sometimes, this is a cheat code, right? I used to sell to a lot of middle-aged women, and randomly they would just like tell me their age. I wouldn't even ask. They would just randomly say, oh, I'm 45, or oh, I'm 50, I'm 37, whatever. And I'd be like, no, you're not, right? And I'd say it in a joking tone. And these are the small things that bring us closer outside of me challenging them, outside of me understanding them and hearing their pain points and their problems. It's small things like that, right? You have to be able to mix in all 5 different types of tone throughout the entire call. Your entire call should not have one piece of tonality. It should be up and down, right? The playful tone you're also going to use more so in the future pace, right? When your energy is higher, when you're talking about how life looks once this has been able to be solved, or even in the pitch, right? This is ultimately a playful, higher energy tonality. When dopamine releases into their brains and their wall comes down, it's signaling to their brain, we can trust this person. That's exactly what you want. This also works well when they're being resistant, right? Let's say someone's giving me very vague answers, very short answers, or I can just tell that something's off. I'll use that same playful tone. Could we pause for a second? Maybe I'm misreading you here, but it looks like maybe there's a level of, why is this guy asking me these questions? Where's this going? Am I completely misunderstanding it, or is everything all good? Or if someone doesn't want to turn their camera on, be like, oh, what are we having a bad hair day over there? What's going on? Right? I'm unfazed. This is how people will grow closer and closer to you throughout the time of the call. Use this with intention, not just randomly. Here's a short clip of me using this exact tone on a call.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm staying out of trouble. Being the boring guy. How about you?
I think I'm trying to do the same myself.
Okay. The way you said it, it sounds like you're looking for trouble. I don't know if I believe that.
No. People always tell me I cause trouble for myself.
I see. So now that you know all the different kinds of tonality, how do you actually practice it so it sticks? The answer here is your baseline personality is what's going to determine how you need to train. So if you're naturally more passive and more quiet, you're gonna need to work on raising your voice and working on more of those higher inflecting tones, putting more emphasis, speaking with conviction. If you're naturally loud and fast, you're gonna have to learn to slow it down, to use more downward inflecting, to verbal cue, being able to intentionally create pauses for the prospect to think. You just have to know who you are as a person so you could be able to train accordingly. So something that would help me is if I know I want to be able to leave space in between a question in my script, I'd leave dots to remind myself to slow it down when I ask this question. If I wanted to emphasize something, then I would bold it. I'd bold the words or the sentences or the questions that I want to emphasize as I'm speaking. And this trained my brain throughout the duration of the call that when I'm here, this is how I speak. When I'm here, this is how I speak. Until eventually it became a part of me. Also working on changing the way you say different parts of the sentence, right? So how does that make you feel, right? That is what's emphasized. Or how does that make you feel? How does that make you feel, right? Each one, you're emphasizing different parts. The thing that you emphasize is the thing that the prospect is going to focus on. So as you're going through your script, now that you know the different types of tonality, going through each stage of the call, and only making bold the words that you need to emphasize. Or maybe if you're asking in a more curious tone, making those words italics, right? Ultimately training your brain to know how to show up in that part of the call or that question so it could become second nature. So all in all, guys, tonality isn't just a random soft skill. It is a very important skill for your words to have the weight that you're looking for. Every framework, every objection handle, every consequence question, it all lives in how you deliver it. And the good news is all of this shit is trainable. Pick one tone this week. Drill one sentence. Do this 10 times with a partner and watch what happens on your next call. Watch how much more receptive people start to become to you. Now, you can do this one of two ways, guys, the easy way or the hard way. The hard way is to take everything that I said and tactically try to put it together when you know that you are not living the words that you are saying. So ultimately becoming this master manipulator rather than being the kind of person that leads your prospects to a decision. And that's the second thing you could do, is be the type of person who leads your prospects to a decision. Be the type of person who does not put off tough decisions, who doesn't give themselves all these stories and excuses of why they're not changing, of why they're doing the things that are keeping them stuck. For example, not getting support, not having a sales coach, not having someone work with you to show you how to find a good role and how to succeed on that role, and then eventually burn out and say high ticket sales wasn't for me. So if you don't want to be the latter, hit the first link in the description. We're going to speak to either me or my team. We're going to dissect your sales process. We're going to help you get on a better offer, help you succeed on that offer. And most importantly than all, help you be the kind of person who leads their prospects because you lead yourself. As always, guys, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Turn those post notifications on. We're back to 3 times a week, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.